Hi, everyone. We are here with Aimee, and I am so excited for you guys to hear her story. Aimee bought her very first out-of-state rental property. She lives in California and bought it all the way in Indiana. So, Aimee, I know all the things you're going to tell me. I already know, but this is more for everyone who's watching. So why don't you start off and let everyone know, where you live, what you do for work, and what kind of got you interested in wanting to invest in rental properties?
Okay, so I'm a massage therapist and I have my own business in Anaheim, California. And I first got interested in getting my own real estate property because my partner already has 2 homes, and I watched him cash flow over the last 2 years. And I figured, okay, if he can do it, and it seems to be almost seamless because he's got property managers in other states helping him, I thought, well, maybe I could try it. And then when I saw how affordable it was to buy a home in another state outside of California, that's when I really started to look into it seriously. And that's because, I had the money and it was just sitting there, and I thought, why not try and put it into something that will allow my money to work for me at this point. So, it takes money up front, but the return will come back hopefully. So.
Yes, I will. We'll get to your cash flow and your fund numbers later because you got a really good deal.
I think so.
Tell everybody, what type of research you did prior to joining the program, or maybe, why you didn't feel like you could do it on your own. What were you looking for help with when you decided to join my program?
Well, I was looking for help in how to narrow down which market to look in, what to look for in a home, and how to compare it to other homes that were in the area also for sale. It's overwhelming. The process can be a lot. There's so many things you have to consider. You can't just look at a house and say, that one looks cute. That one looks like it might cash flow. It could be like a hot mess inside. So, it's nice to have somebody say, well, I think Aimee should probably ask these questions, probably look at the crime area, the crime map to see what the area looks like. And so those things were things I definitely needed help with, because prior to joining the coaching program, I was just like, ooh, that looks like a nice neighborhood. That looks like a nice, area, a nice state. And then I didn't take into account whether it was landlord friendly, if it was an F neighborhood, whether what I could afford or what I could put down would actually cash flow. That was important. You don't want to put money into something and then realize that's not going to cash flow more than $200. Is it worth it? That was a big one. That was an eye opener. It's like, is it going to make me money? Is it worth it? So yeah, there was a lot. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
And what would you go ahead?
Go ahead.
It was nice to have somebody say, look at the home inspection reports, make sure you look at them carefully,
Yes.
Because again, you can have a hot mess on your hands, and you have to figure out how to deal with that, whether you can back out of it or not.
What would you say, Aimee? You had the course, and then we did our coaching calls and emails and so forth. What would you say of everything over the past few months in the coaching program? What benefited you the most? What were you the most happy with, or what did you feel was the most helpful part of the coaching program?
There are a lot of, I like the way it was broken down. Like, this is what you need to do first. This is what you need to do second. This is what you need to do third. And then it was just like a step-by-step thing. If I had tried to do it all on my own, I wouldn't know what I was doing, because there's just so many things to consider. I would have missed a step and then just really stepped in a big hole. So it was nice to have the modules that I could look at and watch on my own time when I had time, and to review it if I had any questions. And also if I had a question, I could email you and then you could just clarify things, and having you to just come back and check in with me and know what questions to ask. Like ask your banker these questions, ask your realtor these questions. I wouldn't know what questions to ask. I would have been like, like, okay, I'll take your word for it, and no, you don't do that. It's a big no, because, people might take advantage of you. And so it's nice to make them feel like you know what you're talking about. So
yeah, exactly. And if you don't ask the right questions, like they won't answer. Like they don't know you don't know the answer. They just assume, and you only get the answers to the things that you ask. And, I found out that even though sometimes, even for me, I may feel like, oh, that agent or that lender knows what I'm looking for or is kind of knows what I'm getting at. They don't. You have to be so blunt and just like, I know you may know this, but this is what I'm wondering. This is what I'm asking. This is what I'm hoping you're going to give me the answers to. And it might turn out that what they're telling you is not the answer at all to what you are looking for. But if you would have just been specific and just said, these are the questions I have, then you'll get the answers. Like one easy, like dumb example though, is with lenders, right? Some lenders have a bunch of different loan programs, but if you only ask them about one, they're only going to tell you about that one.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
if you were to say, what other loan program options do you have? Then now you're getting other choices that maybe they won't work for you, but maybe they will. And the guy just told you what you asked. You didn't ask about the other ones. It's like, duh, but sometimes you have to ask all the questions if you want to get all the answers.
And it's true. I mean, I had an experience with two different lenders. One lender turned me down because he said I didn't show enough to cover the expense of the house. They felt like my debt to income ratio was too high. But I went to another lender and they said, well, we will take the potential rental income into consideration, and we'll factor that into whether we can approve you for this loan. I would never have known that. I would have just said, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll back off. I never approach, and I'll probably go forward thinking I'll never be able to buy a home because my debt to income ratio is blah, 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 but these different lenders have different options, like you said, which is a very important point, because I just thought I was just kind of done. But lenders they want to make money too. So,
you don't know what you don't know, and you won't know if you don't ask.
Absolutely.
I love it. So tell us about your rental, like what markets you picked, and maybe any struggles that came with choosing a market. And then let's hear about your rental you got.
So I picked Muncie, Indiana. Originally, I was looking at Indianapolis, but it felt a little overwhelming. So I looked at Muncie, which was another nice spot, another landlord-friendly spot. And I just kind of narrowed, I found out which neighborhoods were better than others. And I narrowed it down to that neighborhood, or those areas. And I finally found a house. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 875 square foot home. And I got it for $75,000.
So what was that? What were they asking? What was the asking price? And then
asking was 79.
Asking was 79, and we were in the height of the market, right?
Right. At 6.7%, guys. Double what it was probably a year before. And so I had already been beaten out on other offers for other homes. It was really frustrating. I offered what I could afford. I offered 91. And then the bank said it only appraises for 75. The seller agreed to sell it for 75. So he accepted my offer, but I paid 75. So, and the house had a new roof, newer furnace, newer water heater, Of course, there were some other issues, but he was willing to fix what we asked. I was like truly blessed with this one. And I'm still praying that, it just, keeps coming down. It's good light,
Yes.
I'm so grateful, so grateful. So, just hang in there. I mean,
Yep.
the struggles were, I backed out of 2 homes because they were just pits. I mean, once we got into the nitty gritty of the home inspection reports, they were bad news. I mean, biohazard issues, yeah, like mold, termite destruction, active water leaks. There are sometimes you really need to just walk away, and you will eat the cost of the home inspection, but sometimes it's better to eat that cost rather than get stuck in a home for 30 years
Yes.
when you could have avoided it from the get-go. That $400 for the inspection report, I would never waive an inspection report. I had one realtor tell me, oh yeah, you should just waive an inspection report. And I just thought, oh, this girl don't know what she's talking about. So she was a nice girl, but I was just, I don't know. Because I think that's very valuable, especially with the older homes. The older homes, you're going to have all sorts of issues, and you have to figure out whether you want to deal with it and whether you have the money to deal with it. Because, I don't know about you, but I'm not made of money. And so all that money I saved came from hard work. I wasn't just going to put that money down into something that I could later not afford to fix.
Yep.
So I had to make sure I could do it. And that inspection report saved me out of a couple of headaches.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I'm glad you got it. We went through it, and it's like, it's a no.
Sometimes you have to say no. Sometimes it's a heartbreaker because you think, oh, it's the best neighborhood. It's so cute. It's blah, blah, blah. But if it's got an active water leak, if it's got standing water, if it's got a pillar that's like sideways that hasn't been fixed for like 20 years, it's not worth it, guys. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
some things you can fix, but when it's like multiple things, and you have to take into account, okay, how much will this cost for me to get this property up to working order? And do I want to spend that money? Knowing that, was my offer price worth it? And sometimes it's not, and maybe sometimes some more advanced investors will take on those bigger problems for a lower purchase price. And a lot of times those sellers are like, no, I don't want to sell for cheap. And so it sits on the market until finally they pull their head out of their butt and they sell it for what it's actually worth, but sometimes it might take a few investors to come through with offers and back out, for the seller to get real.
And I've seen that with some of the properties that I had been looking at. They were selling for X amount, how many months ago, but now they are still on the market for $20,000 less. Because maybe they were asking for a higher amount and they weren't willing to budge, but it's still sitting on the market. So, they didn't get their head out of their butts.
That's right. That's why maybe they will,
Maybe, I don't know.
Now's the time to make those offers again, and maybe they'll be more realistic. But
yeah. And I learned also that the fall is a great time to, despite what some people were telling me, the fall is a nice time to buy, guys, rather than the summertime.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Fall and winter, best times to buy. Spring and summer, you're gonna have more opportunities, more options, more things for sale, but higher competition. Prices are the highest they'll be all year. So, it's give and take. If you want the choices, you're gonna be paying more for the choices.
Right. When I started looking at houses, it was in this probably April and May. I actually started looking in Huntsville, Alabama, and all the houses that I liked got snatched up within a month. I mean, bam, bam, bam. And it was so frustrating. That's why I had to look in other states, other markets. And it took until October to find a house. You have to be patient and just kind of sift through the good and the bad.
And it was worth it, because what's your cash flow now, Aimee?
My cash flow now is, after everything, 600.
Like, whoa, that
Yeah.
is so good. You know, we
Yeah.
always aim for $300 a month, and you got double that.
Yeah. Yeah. My house payment, my taxes, my homeowner's insurance, plus the property management fees is gonna come out to like 600.
Mhm.
And so the rental income, or the rent that we asked for, was 1,200. So it was way more than I was anticipating. I didn't think we were gonna get it, but I have a good property manager.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing. If you're gonna invest out of state, find a good property manager that knows the area. Sometimes they know the area better than your realtor. That's
Oh,
something.
absolutely.
That's something, and they will also say, don't give up, maybe this area might be, not the greatest, but that doesn't mean it's not going to cash flow.
Yep, that's right.
So you just gotta be open and just, be willing to listen.
Well, you did a really good job, Aimee. It was worth all the hard work. I'm glad you stuck with it through all the ups and downs that come with buying a property. And I mean, there's a lot of different factors, and a lot of times that things could go south, and that's why I have my coaching program, and you freaking did it. You
Yes,
got to
thank you
the
so
end. You got a
much.
good property. Yes, I'm so proud.
Yeah, and thank you, Casey, for being really down to earth and genuine. You're really fun to talk to. I looked forward to meeting with you. And so I really appreciate that, you helped us out.
Thanks, Aimee. One last question for you. The people that are watching this probably are watching it because they're considering joining my coaching program. What would you say to them to get them off the fence if they're wavering between joining or not joining? What would you say?
I would say it is totally worth the time and effort, because it is broken down in an easy to follow format, and Casey is very accessible. If you have a question, she will answer it. And it could save you from some major financial headaches. If you make the wrong decision because you're not informed, you could lose a lot of money on your first property because you weren't informed. And so having this coaching program really helped me a lot. And I'm hoping it would help anybody who's just thinking, should I not? Because if you don't buy now, when are you going to buy? This will at least give you an idea of what you will be facing, and you won't be facing it uninformed. It's better to be educated. And it's not just Casey, other people will tell you, get educated, and this was broken down really nicely and easy to follow, so that's my advice.
Well, thank you, Aimee. I appreciate it. I enjoyed working with you, these past few months, and you did it. You succeeded. Success story. And
yes.
what are your plans now next? What are you going to do for your next property? You have any future plans?
Well, I thought about it. I thought, well, you know what, if this one, I'm going to sit on it for a few years, make sure everything is solid. If I have enough saved up in a few years, I might look again, but I just want to just kind of breathe it in and just kind of let it sink and make sure everything's cool, so that I might revisit in 2 to 3 years, but not long enough so that I forget everything. So
exactly. We always have the modules, and you can just send me an email. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aimee. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this today, and I'm glad I got to see you for sure one last time. So
yes. Yeah. Thank you. Good luck, everybody. It's not as bad. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me.